Hey everybody. Well, first of all, sorry, but there won't be any episode of UNTIE the Lines today. We're working on getting back into the sending out every Friday on a regular basis very soon. Well, this is the third Patrons Ask video, and Mark Jones wanted to know how I navigate on Karl. So when I first bought Karl, like 3 years ago, I was in Colón in Panama, and the first movements of the boat were along the coast, and they're pretty straightforward movements and pretty straightforward navigation. So what I was using was good old paper charts, and as you can see, it's not really a very tricky area. So I was using those and the good old school ruler, and you know, the miles measurement thingy, I don't know what it's called, the circular thing. And along with that, I was using my Garmin handheld GPS. And as a additional information, I was using the local cruising guide of Airy Bauhaus. But you know, as you can see, like, this is the entrance of Portobello, one of the first entrances that I did with Karl, and there's not really much that you have to do except, you know, find a waypoint to go in and go into the thing. So you have enough time to look at your handheld GPS and check, you know, where you are, and just with a basic bearing you actually get where you want to get without running anything over. And then once I had it further out and I headed for the San Blas Islands, I remember pretty well because I came in after like a 10-hour passage from leaving from the marina Turtle Cay. And the San Blas Islands are like these tons of little islands surrounded by coral reefs everywhere, and well, first of all, it's really hard to figure out which island is which, you know, because of the angle that, you know, sometimes they look so different from far away than when you get closer. But also, you know, all the entrances are really tricky. There's lots of reefs around, and you don't really have the time to look at your handheld and go like, oh, where am I? And, you know, put the little GPS thing down, and by that time you're probably ran over a reef. And then also, if you're by yourself, you can't really go in the front and take a look up, and, you know, yes, you can navigate by colors from the cockpit, but, you know, it's a little bit more tricky than with two people where one could be in the front and give you directions. So then what I started to do was I started to use my iPad for navigation, and in the beginning I was using the Navionics. But the charts of the Navionics, and that is special for the San Blas Islands, or for various areas, but the charts in the San Blas Islands on the Navionics, they're completely off. So you can't really navigate by what you see on the screen, because then you're running somewhere and you look at the charts and you're actually running over land according to Navionics, but actually you're not in land at all. So what I did is I looked at the Bauhaus guidebook, or cruising book, and I just put certain waypoints that I took out of the book and I put them into the Navionics. So I was just running by that. I was just creating my own little routes, figuring out where I wanted to go, and yeah, just using those instead of relying on the charts that were on there. So I did that for a while, navigating with Navionics. I do have OpenCPN on my laptop as a backup as well, but I have never used it because I just don't find it very practical to use the computer, because most of the time when I sail I'm actually in the cockpit. I'd say like 99% of the time, and I find it impractical to have a big computer out there, because the computer I usually have for, you know, more graphic stuff rather than for sailing. And then a friend of mine told me about this other navigation app that you can use on an iPad, which is called CIQ Open. And the interesting part about CIQ Open is that you can actually load different types of charts into it. And also you can load because the Bauhaus guide for Panama, it comes with a set of charts as well. So you can load those charts into the CIQ Open, and then actually the only negative thing about those charts is they're not vector charts. So basically they're the paper charts that you see on the book, but at least you have them on your pad, and then you can navigate by them. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So these are, you've seen that in the book that I just showed you. Those are exactly the same charts, but they're exact. So you don't have to, you still can put your waypoints in like here, but you know, you can also see where you are, where you're going, and that's pretty good. And also for this CIQ Open that I use, you know, there's a set of charts for the OpenCPN, I don't know what it's called, it's like something with a 90 in it. But those are the charts that I use for the other areas so far. And then this is the main app that I use for navigation. And then I always check, like if I come to a new, when I come to a new place, I check whether, you know, the Navionics charts or the charts of CIQ Open are more correct or better. And still, of course, as an addition to that, I always have some guidebook, some cruising guide for having bearings or whatever. So once you come to the entrance of something, that you can make sure you're on the right track, and you can actually take a correct waypoint in case the charts are not correct. Sometimes you don't know before you arrive, right? Yeah, I guess that's about it. That's what I use for navigation, and so far it's worked pretty well. The only thing is that the disadvantage with the tablet, I find, is that when it gets really rainy, or if the water comes over, like if you get some splash from waves, then the touchpad doesn't work really well. So that is an issue. But apart from that, I found that it works really well. It doesn't take too much energy, and you have you have different modes. You have a day mode, you have a night mode, and it's easy to use. You're flexible, especially with the CIQ Open, because you can put different charts in. And you can also load Active Captain into this one, so that's really nice too. So when you come to a place, you can see all the little entries that people did from Active Captain, which is helpful. Well, that's how Karl and me navigate usually, and so far it's worked quite well. But obviously I haven't tested everything. So if anyone wants to share some of their experiences, what you like using for navigation, or any advice or recommendations, feel free to leave a comment. And I guess I'll see you next week. Bye.